Tenor saxophonist, composer, and audiophile JED Levy is a perceptive musician and devoted music listener. JED has recorded a slew of albums, including Sleight of Hand, Round and Round, Moot Ellington, Gateway, Evans Explorations, One Night at the Catano, Travelogue, Rain, and the Italian Suite. You'll hear his music in the background of this video. JED has an extremely impressive resume, including 3 recordings and countless performances with the great Jackie Byard, 2 records with jazz funk innovator Mike Clark, and years of road experience with Jack McDuff and Don Patterson. He's also worked with Junior Mance, Eddie Henderson, the Vanguard Jazz Orchestra, Shirley Scott, Cedar Walton, Curtis Fuller, Chico Farrell, and Tom Harrell. JED's Basement Hi-Fi consists of an Ariston Audio RD11S turntable with the Grace G277 tone arm and a Dynavector DV10X5 moving coil cartridge through a Shit Audio Manny Phono stage, as well as a Shit Audio Yggdrasil DAC, Audio Lab Transport, an Audio Research stereo preamplifier, which was replaced by a Rogue Audio Cronus Magnum integrated amplifier, Spender SP1 stand mount speakers, and Proag 2.5 floor standing speakers round out his rig. For this particular video, I asked JED, who has serious knowledge of jazz and classical music, to pick 5 of his favorite records and describe them for us.
Ken, you've asked me to do a very, very hard task, and that's to pick 5 records. And I felt compelled to start with, of course, Duke Ellington. This recording of the Queen Suite is one of my favorite pieces of music and combines all the elements that I find really attractive in music. Great compositional, programmatic writing, incredible use of individual solo voices within the orchestra, and just the genius that's Duke Ellington. If people are not familiar with the story of this, in 1959, Duke met the Queen in England. He went back to New York and wrote this piece of music, paid of his own expense to record it, pressed 1 copy, and sent it to the Queen, left instructions with his management and record company that it was never to be commercially issued until both of he and the Queen were dead. Now that dude was a romantic. This piece of music is just incredible, just absolutely gorgeous, and I can listen to this over and over again. It also happens to be a great recording, but mostly it's the music that compels me. I love every movement of this. There's another suite on the other side, which is from a little bit later period called the Gutala Suite, which is also very nice, and there's also one called the Uist Suite, which is actually the University of Wisconsin. He did a clinic out at the university, and he wrote a suite for that particular occasion. But the Queen Suite is what I almost always just listen to the first side of this, I admit, because it's just amazing. The hardest thing for me was thinking about the tenor saxophone. And, you know, with each of these records I've named, for instance, like with Duke Ellington, I could have picked my 5 out of Duke Ellington's library. Coltrane had several periods and made profound recordings in each one of them. But I decided on Coltrane's sound because it straddles a certain place in his career where he was transitioning from a very vertical player, you know, the sheets of sound, lots of chordal superimposition, into a more open modal approach to the music. The renditions of Satellite and The Night Has a Thousand Eyes sort of contain both worlds within those songs. So you hear him playing really like from an earlier perspective on parts of the song, and then there's these open vamp sections where you hear then what's coming next in him. So I've always I love every song on here. I mean, there's the version of Body and Soul, you know, Central Park West, Liberia. It's sort of him pushing past the boundaries of the tradition of jazz. To me, this is the point. You know, Liberia is based on Night in Tunisia in a loose, but he's pushing beyond it. Body and Soul, of course, goes back to Coleman Hawkins, but he completely reharmonizes the bridge in his vocabulary. So here you have, he's still 1 foot in the tradition and 1 foot pushing beyond into what was coming next. So if I have to pick one, I love this one. Here's another one, Ken. This is Ben Webster with strings, The Warm Moods. It was originally recorded for Frank Sinatra's Reprise label, and the intent of this record was actually to make an easy listening record. I think that Sinatra, being someone who could really express a melody, understood Ben Webster's gift for this and thought there might be a way to, you know, make him somewhat a success out of the jazz world into a more generalized market. Again, it's beautifully recorded. It was done in California on one of the sound stages. Johnny Richards is a great arranger. Beautiful arrangements, great string playing. The reason I picked this is because personally, in my musical development, I learned so much from this record because each track is only maybe 2 minutes long. In some cases, he only plays the melody. I kept wondering why every time I'd go sit down to listen to some music, I'd put this on. You know, I'd get the latest so-and-so and go, oh yeah, that's really great, that's impressive, blah, blah, blah. And then after maybe a listen or two, I wasn't compelled to listen to it again. This record, I could listen to 1,000 times and still get something. And I said, man, I don't get it. It's like a commercial record. He's not even improvising. Honestly, what I realized is that it captured the essence of musicality, which should be the key to everything that any of us ever want to play, regardless of style, era, idiom, whatever it is. This guy just playing the melody says it all to me about what music should be. What it was able to do is sort of subtract me, the musician, out of the equation, and just me, the person who loves listening to music. And so I began to think about music a lot differently because of this record. If I could sing a melody through my own soul with as much conviction as he does on every one of these pieces, I'd feel like I'd have accomplished a lot.